On to the next division. We have the lovely AFC South. First one is just one that just this division itself is just putrid. I hate everyone in this division. I wish they could all lose, but at the end of the day, you're gonna have to pick a winner. The winner last year were the Titans, who I don't know if it's. I feel like as an industry, people are kind of down on them this year, but I feel like people are down on the Titans every year. So every year, everyone thinks they suck, and then they end up winning 10 games and ruining everyone's lives. But that's exactly why the line is at 9.5. I have the under
9.5. No, under. Done.
I have them at 7 and 10. I don't see it. I don't.
They'll win like 4 games when it's too cold for anyone to tackle Derrick Henry, but outside of that, they're not winning anything.
Easy. You know what? I'm not even wasting any more time on Treylon Burks and Ryan Tannehill. I'll move on to the team that's probably going to win the division with the same win total, the Colts at 9.5. I want to say a steal, but I'm just not the biggie. I'm not the biggest Matty Ice believer. I don't think he's some sort of savior either. But I think it's just a matter of their schedule. And just like the Ravens, I feel like the Colts have a little bit of a cupcake schedule, and it's going to end up giving them more wins than they should have. Are you kind of leaning the same
total
way?
Was? What'd you say the total was?
9.5.
I'll go over. I don't think the division. I think this is probably your weakest division, and when I say probably, it is your weakest division in the AFC. I don't think it's not like the Bills. I think the Bills and the AFC East is probably your second weakest division. But even they have the Bills top heavy. Some people like the Dolphins, Patriots are the Patriots. And I think this is such an easy division unless Jacksonville takes a step forward with Trevor Lawrence's second year. I don't see the Titans being any sort of a threat. I think you'll see Malik Willis at some point this year. I think they'll take the keys away from Tannehill and say enough's enough and kind of see what they have with Malik Willis down the stretch. I don't think they are impacting to the Colts. I think the Colts cruise to 11, 12 wins. Just because the division that they're in, and they're a solid football team. And I think Matty Ice, although he's not anything spectacular, he's enough in this division to just kind of cruise through the division and then find 5 or 6 more wins elsewhere.
I think my biggest thing was looking back at last year, and I always say if something improved at all, can they win 1 or 2 more? And although I also don't believe in Matt Ryan, I think he is an upgrade over Carson Wentz. They missed by 1 game. I think they'll get it done this year with good old Matty Ice. He's at least has Sutton back. On the flip side is one I know we do not agree on: the good old Houston Texans.
Oh my God!
Hear me out. Hear me out.
What is their win total?
4.5.
I mean, any team that is that low, I can't fault you for saying that they're gonna win 5 games, and I'll let you pitch it. But I mean, you look at their team, and I'm sitting here wondering how they're getting to 2, and I'm not gonna put American dollars on 5. I mean, granted, you'll stumble into some where you're like, how the heck did they win that? And they're not going to win that. But man, how do you put money on that?
I mean, I'll be honest with you.
Oh, here we go.
I started to flip back to the other side. I have
You're
them
coming to your senses, and
I have them at 5 and 12. So the total's at 4.5. So I can't say I'm as gung ho as I was. I think the Jags still suck. I think they sweep the Jags.
I will. Can we bet?
This is the one you wanted?
I want the smoke here. I want the Jags over the Texans, just straight up.
Davis Mills, eh?
I'm not.
You're not buying the Dameon Pierce hype. He's not going to lead them to 5 wins.
I'll take the running backs don't matter, but I'll take him on my fantasy team as a sleeper. But
No,
You
I
got
can't
the
do
abs-
the Texans. My boy Lovey Smith ain't ready for that. I can't.
What? You just said
I know.
you're pulling yourself back. You're just like, oh, I will. I don't like Trevor Lawrence.
Wait, I'm running through their team. Nico Collins, it's nasty. Shit.
Why don't I mean? It's not like I'm getting a great team. Why don't you
I
just give me
know.
the Jags for us to
I
have?
think the Houston defense isn't bad. I think that's
the
where
last
I'm
time you
leaning
told
on.
me this, I was finding homeless people on their defensive.
Dude, it doesn't matter. They play hard, baby. They were
play hard
ranked.
now.
They were
Okay,
top
play
10 in
hard.
quarterback pressure last year. They might have been
That's
top
like-
5 if I remember.
That's like, okay, so you just saying that is the equivalent of, and I think other people have made this reference, but I like it. That's like in the equivalent of in basketball saying, yeah, I suck, but I play great defense, or yeah, I'm horrible at golf, but I'm a great putter. But in football, I'm not very good, but I try hard. Yeah, that'll get you real far in the national.
Tony Allen was an all-star once.
Give me the Jaguars.
The Jags.
Like if you don't like the Jags, I'm high on the Jags.
You know what? I'll take it. I don't know what I'll bet. I
Guarantee me action is all I want.
yeah, okay. I'll guarantee you action on that.
We don't have to put a like. I'll put like a we don't have to determine the dollar amount right here and there, but I won't put it. I at least want to like to make it worth my time. Do it,
All right, I'll take
Over
it. I believe in Houston. I got to stick to the original guns where they're
That's
nasty.
such a bad bet for you.
So do you like the Jacksonville over on their win total then? What do you think it is?
What do I think it is versus what I should be? I'd bet they are 5.
They are at 6.5.
Holy moly! No, I didn't mean I like them that much. I mean, I was thinking they'd win 6 games.
Yeah, man. I have them standing out for
no,
4 and 13.
I do. They're a sleeper team for me. I think the stuff they went through with Urban, and I think they got a lot more talent than their record says. And obviously, one of the things in the NFL is why you rarely see like huge jumps like what the Bengals did. You kind of have to learn how to win at this level. Trevor Lawrence, he obviously won at college, but the NFL is a different beast. I think they're going to be better than what I would say what people think, but 6.5. Holy crap!
What makes them better?
What's that?
What makes them better? What did they gain?
I mean, they get Travis Etienne back. They get their quarterback, and they get their quarterback in his second year. You lose. I think you have a huge addition by subtraction going from Urban Meyer to Doug Peterson, who's dealt with quarterbacks. The whole Urban circuit. I mean, it was a circus. And it's kind of like what they got going out there in LA with their basketball team. It's like you put too much around the circus, regardless of how good your players are. And I'm not saying they have great players, but they have potential on defense. Obviously, it takes a lot more than just talent on defense. You have to have a great scheme and communication and other things like that. But they have
Josh Miles Jack.
What's that?
They lost Miles Jack.
Miles Jack isn't anything to me. I mean,
what, like Josh Allen
and they took a few guys in the draft. I didn't they have a decent draft? I could be remembering.
They took who did they take number 1 overall? Thibodeau or
no? Trayvon Walker. They have Trayvon Walker, and I'm looking at their depth chart now. They have 2 first rounders in the first on defense. Devin Lloyd, a linebacker, and Trayvon
they did get
Walker.
Devin Lloyd.
They still have Caleb on Chason. I just don't think they're that. And I think Josh Allen is an elite pass rusher. So they gained Evan Ingram on offense. They get Travis. Who was Nate? Okay, you don't
Dan
think
Arnold. He was nasty.
That's what I was going to say. You don't think Evan Ingram is an upgrade over Dan Arnold?
Nah, man. Dan Arnold has a soft spot in my heart. He was a killer for like 3 weeks.
They got your boy Zay. Like the hardest work. They got your the hardest working. There you go to fit your Texans motto. They got Zay. who is a very hard worker, always in the building first.
Oh,
Christian Kirk doesn't do much for me, but he's better than what they have. And they got my boy Laquan Treadwell, who made a late season surge. I love Laquan Treadwell. I say that with not too much behind it, but I do like him.
you know what?
yeah.
I can't even look at the AFC South anymore. That's disgusting. We're sitting here talking about Laquan Treadwell. That's the
Jaguars over, baby. We're going over. They're winning 7 or 8 games.
Well, earlier I did say that I thought the AFC North was the toughest division. I recant that statement. I somehow forgot about the AFC West. That's a dog fight. Dude, I am not kidding you. I'll just tell you straight up. I think every single one of these teams can win 11 to 12 games, but they all play each other. So I have no idea what is going to happen. I mean, we're talking top bottom from last year. So last year the division winner was the Chiefs. I don't know, man. What this year they have them at 10.5. It's hard to bet the under on any of these teams, but
on 10.5 on Chiefs.
I statted them at 10-7 when I looked at it. So 10.5 is right on it.
Under.
Under.
They're my. I think they could finish dead last.
Really?
I don't like them. I really don't like them.
You know what? They're kind of reminiscent to me. I feel like they're going to be like when Rodgers. I feel like Rodgers always has a time period where he loses all his receivers, but they win games anyway, and it annoys me. I mean, their line is still decent. Their defense is still kind of ass. The receivers they got aren't terrible. I mean, I can't really fault Juju for. He was injured and then he came back too early to a Big Ben. I don't know if Juju's washed or what to do. The kid's only like 23, 24.
Juju cares. I mean, Juju cares more about dancing with Jackson Mahomes on the logo than he does football.
I know. I don't think he's terrible. I like the kid they got from Western Michigan. With Sky Moore. I hate MVS with a passion.
So you know what I like. You know what I'm gonna say. If you're talking about a team that is projected at 10.5 wins and you have to go to a freaking rookie named Sky Moore, that is your indicator that you should go under that number. I'm not saying Sky Moore isn't a potential prospect, but if you're pointing at him at the reason why you think they can go over 10.5 games, that should be a red flag.
He's not the reason. The reason is Pat Mahomes. Everyone knows the reason. Do you believe in Pat to carry? And I
don't. I haven't seen him without Cheetah. I don't know. I think Cheetah was such a big part of what they did.
I think he was. He still has Kelsey. He still has a safety net. He still has a safety net.
But I mean, that's what he's got. That's like Mr. Reliable for him.
Are we sleeping on the run game? I don't think the run game's that bad. If they want to mix it up and run a little more,
run. I mean, they just don't commit to it.
Well, when you have Cheetah, you don't have to, but they don't need to. What I heard, again, you can't trust beat reporters at all. But what I'm seeing is that this is a completely different offense. Like it is nowhere near.
It would have to. I mean, it would truly have to be. Because you
still have Cole Hardman. You still have MVS is technically the second fastest man in pads in the NFL last year. Like they have, listen, I don't like MVS. I'm just telling you, there's weird pieces to where they can make it work.
You're talking a lot of games. You're not talking like, oh, I think they can win 8-9 games. Like they have to hit 10.5. They have to win 11 games in the toughest division in football to hit that number. So I mean, that's a clear under for me. Okay. I think the winner of the division could win 10 games just because I think they'll beat the crap out of each other. And
I had them at 10-7, so I don't really want to argue it. I can see it. I can also see the over for the Raiders, though. I understand the division and how tough it is. I think they're a sleeper. I kind of want to put a bet on them to win the division, in all honesty. They have them at 8.5. And
I would see if I was making the lines, I would reverse the Raiders line and the Chiefs line.
Interesting.
I'm high on the Raiders. I mean, I'm very high on the Raiders. I think they got it started last year where they kind of flopped their way, found a way into the playoffs. Now you
Close
get
game.
Devontae. What's that?
Close game in the playoffs. They gave
Right. No,
you
I mean
nail
they
biter.
were. I mean, I was nervous. I mean, Bengals Raiders. Obviously, it's first Bengals win in
The whistle.
Stadium in the playoffs, and maybe I mean,
Goddamn whistle.
yeah, I mean it. I mean, I was nervous. I mean, they got down to fourth down and goal, and obviously Carr threw a pick, and he's kind of what I mean. If you believe in him, you got to kind of go with the over. If you don't believe that he can get by with these guys, I just think the guys that he's got around him. As much as I hate to say it, Hunter Renfrow is a dude. I never would have imagined myself saying that, but he is a dude. You should fear Hunter Renfrow, and especially when he's got Devontae Adams taking a lot of the coverage. Not sure what to think of and Darren Waller fantasy wise, but I mean, he provides another threat to the team that, I really like the Raiders. I really, really do like the Raiders.
I think that's the bet. If you're gonna pick one to win the division, that's the one. They also, I mean, and we're not far removed from a Derek Carr MVP season. Like, let's not forget he was going to win MVP like just 2 or 3 years ago before he broke his leg.
Devontae's his guy. Devontae is his guy.
He's talked about playing with him in the NFL from the time.
I mean, openly, yeah, they want him to play with each other. So, I think 8.5. I mean, I'm gonna have to run this back, watch it, look at the win totals again. But this is for sure one that I will, if I get into the team total market, I will be over on the Raiders.
What about the Chargers? What are you feeling? They have them like this. This is so loaded. I mean, I'll tell you right now, they're higher than the Raiders.
I will say, I mean, put them right at 10.5. I don't know.
That's exactly where they are. They're at 10.5.
I feel like they are clearly a better team than, and what I should say, they're clearly a better team than the Chiefs, but I think the Chiefs have better coaching. I think, Staley gets a lot of credit for what he does out in LA, but I watched some games where he literally threw the game away for them. Like the guy does not believe in any sort of kicking. He just does. I mean, it could be 4th and 9 in the other opponent's territory, and that guy's going for it.
Analytics, baby.
and a lot of I mean, obviously aggressive, but he cost them. A lot of people say, "Oh yeah, young genius," but I watched him. And obviously fans love their coaches to be aggressive and go for it until it doesn't work, obviously. But I mean, can he get it under control? Because he was pretty reckless last year. So, and coaching, this is one of the leagues like the NBA, I'd tell you, like, who cares who the coach is? Like, literally, who cares? But the NFL coaching, the coaching does matter at this level. It 100% matters. So, I mean, if you're close between, obviously, I think the Chargers are up far and away better than the Chiefs. But if you're a person who's similar, you could use coaching as a tiebreaker and say, hey, that 10.5, I'd prefer the Chiefs over the Chargers, and I wouldn't hate you for it. So I do like the Chargers, though. I do.
So over 10.5.
I hesitate to go over on any of these because they're all extremely high and they all play each other. So I'm not hard on, like, I'll say pretty confidently I don't think that the Chiefs win 11 games. So I'll go under on them. Raiders over 8.5 because I think they could end around 9, 10. But this division is so good that I don't say any of it with like the confidence that I do saying the Browns, no chance they win 8 or 9 games. So it's not to that confidence level. I'm not calling it a lock by any means, but those are my leans.
And that takes us to the last one with the Broncos, and they're smacked at the same exact thing as the Chargers.
One second, what did you say you're doing? What would you say you're doing with the Chargers?
I have Chargers at 11 wins, so I guess by default I took the over just barely, and I took the over. That's the issue, though. I'm not going to be right. I have them basically all splitting and then winning games against others. So I have them all at 10 and
11. Yeah, that's not right.
It's not going to happen.
Someone will win 7 games and someone will win 10.
Is it the Broncos? Because that defense was real last year. No one talked about it because of how bad their offense was, but their defense is sneaky good. And now you add Russell, a competent quarterback, to someone. And Russ, we've never seen Russ with a good line. So we don't know like what he's capable of. He has 2 decent receivers. On the flip side, I was listening and I was looking at stats earlier. Last season, or not last season, I think it was 2 seasons ago, there was a year where they let Russ cook. If you remember, people kept talking about Russ can cook. The first 8 games, they were 6-2. They were letting Russ cook. They lost like 1 or 2 in a row, and then they decided, you know what, we're just going to run the ball. And then they ended up missing the playoffs. So Denver brought him in to let him cook. So I don't know what's going to happen. I'm so excited to see what he can do with a line. Like this dude, I just went off about the Raiders, and I think that's the bet to make to win the division. But every time I see these Broncos, I get enamored with them. I don't know, man. Is Raiders not the right choice? Should it be the Broncos?
I can't bet on a guy that says Broncos country. I mean, the dude is, he can cook, but man, I can't think of anyone less inspiring than that guy. Like every time I watch him, I'm like, he doesn't belong here. Like he's just a weird dude. And I shouldn't let his personality kind of. But if I'm a football player, I'm like, I'm playing for this guy. Like, I want to play for like a Herbert or a Josh Allen. Instead, I'm getting Bronco country. Let's ride.
There's so much talent on that. Javante's on that team. Oh my God. Even their tight ends. Like I love Albert O. Like I love every part of this. I love every part of this team.
Oh boy. What's their team total at?
10.5.
Holy moly, under.
I gave them 11.
Yeah, your math doesn't make any sense. You're basically saying they were split with each other.
They're all going to split evenly. I literally had
to wipe out the rest of the league. I just don't believe that to be the case.
No, I agree. I'm telling you I'm wrong. God, I love the Broncos. I think the Raiders are the way I'm a value chaser. I'm a value boy. So, like, what am I actually going to put money on? The Raiders to win the division. Which one do I think happens? Probably the Broncos. That's probably the way I'm leaning here.
I'm on the opposite. I think if I had to choose 1 and 2 in the division, Raiders and Chargers, and then Chiefs, and then Broncos.
God. All right. Well, let's get to the main event. We started hot. Let's end hot. The Buffalo Bills, the Super Bowl favorites, the best team in the NFL. Win total. Hit me with the guess.
13.5.
That's where it fucking should be, but it's not. It's 11.5.
Oh,
Easy money. Easy money.
That may be. I was fully prepared to say no. But hey, at that, I just figured it was a lot harder than it actually is.
Now, I'm telling you, ironically enough, I'll tell you straight up. The Bills obviously have the best record in the NFL, but ironically enough, I have the Bengals with the second. I have them going toe to toe, competing for the number 1 seed in the AFC. Bills 14-3, Bengals 13-4. And I think it's going to come down to that week 16 game or whatever that they play. They play the second or third to last week.
First game of the year where you can put money in Ohio.
Oh, yeah. So listen, here's the deal. I think the reason, and I always look at Bills unders. I try to take away my bias, but I look at their division, and I think the Patriots are ass. I think the Patriots are the Browns of the AFC East. They're overhyped for absolutely no reason. I think the Dolphins aren't terrible, but Josh Allen is their daddy. They cannot beat Josh Allen, whether he has talent around him or not. He beat them with Isaiah McKenzie as his number 1 last year.
Are you talking about the Dolphins?
The Dolphins cannot beat Josh Allen.
They have freaking Tua Tagovailoa as their quarterback. That's nothing to brag about.
he went into Miami with Isaiah McKenzie as his only receiver, and they won by 3 touchdowns.
He could have had me and you. I mean, with Tua Tagovailoa, I mean,
Okay, let me give you this one. The Dolphins 2 years ago lost to the Bills' third string. They can't beat the Bills. And then the Jets.
you're not here. I mean, I'm not saying. I mean, Tua freaking sucks. He's the worst quarterback. Like I could, if you gave me all 32 quarterbacks, I may take Davis freaking Mills over Tua. He's horrible. I mean, I feel bad for Waddle, and luckily he has Tyreek and Waddle who don't they can take a 5-yard slant and take it to the house. Luckily, they don't need to go down the field, but literally quack quack once you go over 10 yards, it's a duck.
And I just feel like, and honestly, even starting, I think their games, they have obviously a lot of tough games. I think a lot of these teams took a step backwards as where the Bills went forward, even the first game of the year. First and foremost, I don't know how we didn't mention that Aaron Donald is going to get suspended. He's an idiot.
There's no doubt, right? If you're going around with 2 helmets in your hand swinging, understand they have training camp brawls and whatnot, but he's
especially with all the suspensions Roger Goodell is just handing out left and right like candy. He will get at least, I would say, at an absolute minimum, 2 games, 1 for each helmet that he's yielding. And at that juncture, we play them the very first game. So the Rams with no Aaron Donald is can't go on. And Matt Stafford has 1 arm. They're concerned about his elbow. The Rams are falling apart. But yeah, they definitely need to suspend Aaron Donald just for safety. But yeah, I think that they win. I think they lose 2 of their tough games. And then I think they lay 1 Jacksonville game along the way. And that's where I got the 3 losses from. And that's it. It's going to be 14-3.
I think it's hard for me when you get up that high because all it takes is, I'm not trying to speak anything, Josh Allen can be reckless. I'm not he's the dude is reckless.
On to the Dolphins.
I know they're trying to I like 11.5 over sure, but I think would I be shocked if they won 14 games? No, but the likelihood of that actually happening, everything going right, because you got to have everything go right to win that many games. But we're not talking that many games. Their line's 11.5. I feel more than confident that they can get to 12, 13, maybe 14 games. So I'm with you.
The last thing I'll give you on them is that they just cleared cap space today. They restructured Deion Dawkins' contract. I don't know who they're going after. I pray to God it's not Odell. We are fine at receiver. I know Von Miller wants his boy there. I don't want Odell. We need a corner. If you're going to beat the Bills, you beat us early. If the Bengals and the Bills played week 2, I would say the Bengals win 110% because our corners are a little weak to start the season. Trey is not going to be what he's supposed to be coming off the ACL early. It's going to be a little, and Kyer is a rookie, and those are your 2 starting corners. So you can hurt us there. It's just the way the schedule played out. We play all the dynamic receivers at the end of the year. Hopefully Trey gets in the midseason form and we're A-okay. So that's where, if there's any sort of worry, it's going to be at the beginning of the season because our secondary, we do have the best safeties in the league, but they're also banged up. So we already have Hyde and Poyer not playing and not practicing. There's a lot going on. So you got to catch us early and it's not going to happen. Who you can catch, and I talked about crushing, again, Patriots under, that one I might actually hammer because you still can. The over-unders, it's set at 8.5 for their win total. There's no way.
I agree with you. I don't think I'm not going to tell you that they're going to win 6 games because I don't believe that. I think they could easily win 7-8 games. I just don't. I'm not as strongly convicted as you because they just show up every year and it's like they have it's like the military. It's like they're so well oiled. No one likes to play there. Anyone you talk to hates freaking playing for Bill Belichick, but they just win. It's and they don't have dudes, and they got this funky guy who looks like he hosts Jeopardy on playing quarterback. And
I don't think it's true. Honestly, I think Mac Jones is ass. I think the running backs are good. I think they're
weird. They get some weird voodoo. It's
no. because the Cam Newton year it didn't work, and last year there was a lot of there out of you.
Listen to what you just said. That guy. Yeah. Okay.
Well, there's a lot of games where you're like that team. There were so many 1-score games that just didn't go their way. They're better than you think. The Patriots were the opposite.
20 years. This isn't just. I mean,
with Brady. I don't think it was Belichick. I think it was Brady.
No, but well, you didn't let me finish. They had a year with Matt freaking Castle where they ran the league. I mean, I'm not wrong. Like Matt Castle, like got paid because of like some crazy run they went on. I just they got something weird that I'm not willing to say that like obviously I'm with you on their talent. Like I don't think they're good. They find weird. It's weird.
We know what the weird thing is. The weird thing is that they had the number one quarterback who didn't care if he got paid, so you could pay everyone else. That's what it was.
But I mean, they didn't even have guys. I mean, outside of Randy, it's not like they found guys like me that go play like Edelman, Walker, and Amendola. I mean, that's what. I mean, Thrive for years. I mean, granted, they had two. I mean, I think your best ones were obviously Moss and Gronk, but Gronk wasn't like some super prospect before he got into that system. And then, I mean, like I said, Amendola, Edelman, Welker, that was their money makers for years. You put them on the team, and they're guys.
We don't give Patriots credit. Dolphins 8.5. Dolphins 8.5. Give me again. I'm going to be so biased in all of these, but I'm taking the under here too. I don't believe in Tua. I do not.
I don't see how. I do love Mike McDaniel. Mike McDaniel cracks me up. And if someone can get anything out of Tua, it's Mike. But he freaking sucks. I mean, if they win that, I mean, they got dudes outside. I mean, if you look at their roster outside of their quarterback, I mean, it's a good roster, but you're talking about the quarterback where it's the most important position in sports. And I've been clear. I think he sucks. So I'm with you on under. I think he's god awful. I think he's so bad.
And then the last one, we got the New York Football Jets, 5.5. How long is the MILF Slayer out? That's the only thing that matters.
And that's disturbing. That's like, if you're counting on the MILF Slayer to win you 6 games, like that's like, because I mean, obviously it's not good, but he's got to take a step forward. And
does he?
I think I've said this to other people because I've heard people tell me like, because they play Baltimore week 1, oh, Baltimore's going to smash them. I do think the Jets have pieces on defense. I really do think they have defensive pieces that are okay. So take that for what it is, but I wouldn't. Would you say 5.5 or 6.5?
5.5, and I statted them for 6. To be honest with you,
I'll go over. It's not a strong lead, but I'll go over. What's your take?
That's I had them at 6 and 11, so I'm right on the edge again. So I can't. They can't all lose. I think the Patriots are that bad. They'll at least win one of those. Then you have one of the easiest schedules in the league, being one of the worst teams last year. I'll take the over. They did improve enough. And then we'll go ahead and we got a little bit of time left. We'll go ahead and hit what is the absolute. What's like your favorite bet or the sleeper bet that you have going through that most people aren't hit to?
I mean, the lock is the Browns. Whatever. I mean, it depends on what book you can get them at and what the total is now. But I mean, the Browns lock or the Browns under is a complete lock to me. The Jaguars will be the sleeper. The Bengals are going to win the Super Bowl. And yeah, that's I mean, I think you're crazy if you don't. And granted, again, I'm a Bengals fan, so obviously this could come across as bias. But the odds that you're getting at the Bengals at to win the Super Bowl is so much better than like value wise. And I know you're a value better.
Yeah.
Then you do get the Bengals are like up until Deshaun news, they were 3rd to win their division. So it's like, I'm not saying that they should be the favorite, but I'm saying like according to their odds, like they're probably, I think they were like 7th or 8th or 9th, somewhere in there in terms of AFC champions. And I just think that's too far. I think that's a bad line. Obviously, I think the AFC West could obviously get someone in the Super Bowl. I think the Bills could get into the Super Bowl. But when you're getting the value out of the Bengals, I
Yeah.
think that's
And you're going to keep getting it with the Ravens projected to win the division. So
right. So I think value wise, I'm not saying like, oh, the Bengals are a lock to go to the Super Bowl, because and I will stand by this till the day I die. It's like with the Super Bowl, and we went last year, but we were extremely lucky to get there. And but I'll say that to you have to be extremely lucky every year to get there. It's you have to have the health, you have to have the talent, you have to have a lot of different things
right,
go right. Yeah, you have to have everything go right. And the Bengals had that year where they had everything go right. So obviously, when you're talking Super Bowl, odds are long, but when you're taking the value into consideration, I do like the Bengals to get to the
Tell
Super
you
Bowl.
what, I'm going to switch it up on you. And I know this is an AFC pod. The bold prediction is in the NFC. Get this one. The Bengals, I think it's Bengals or Bills in the Super Bowl on the AFC side. I think the NFC is a lock. This year's NFC representative for the Super Bowl are the Minnesota Vikings. Book it.
You know who you just aligned yourself with? Todd Pierce. So good luck with
Do
it.
not make that bet. I will do more research. I do love the Browns under though. That if you want to talk AFC, that is probably still the favorite bet. I wish it was still high, and I wish Son wasn't suspended the whole time. But irregardless, it's just making it that much easier. So I'm all for it. Otherwise, we're going to definitely get into the NFC here soon. Obviously not right now, but again, make sure you give it a like, a follow over on Instagram, over on Twitter, over on the good old TikTok. We're making moves, baby. Let's get money.
We're out.